All right, y'all. We're back here on Kicking It with Kunkel, and have a short interview coming your way here in a little bit with Azeez Al-Shaair. We got to catch up outside the locker room. Nothing really formal this week because it's a very busy week for the Texans, as you can probably imagine. Before we get to that, I know I ask every time, and I'm going to ask every time, just give me a like, subscribe to the Fox 26 YouTube page, share this with your friends, comment below if you're on YouTube or on Fox Local. Let me know as well, and find me on X at Will Kunkel Fox. Love the conversations. Love you guys chiming in, as so many do through every episode. Azeez Al-Shaair and I had a really fun conversation, actually, and I've defended what happened with him and Trevor Lawrence. I'm not going to go down that road again. But I think you guys would really enjoy this conversation with what he's gone through in his life and how he carries that to the football field. And obviously, of course, this Texans defense. On the backside, we're going to talk about the Houston Cougars. We're going to talk about the Rockets. We're going to talk about Texas, the Longhorns, and what went wrong there, and Quinn Ewers' decision to go to the NFL versus transferring, and obviously a lot more about this Texans and Chiefs game. So enjoy the interview. Catch you on the backside. I love this defense. I love the defense because it's an old school defense, and it seems like if someone's not doing their job, someone in that room is going to grab them and be like, "Hey, son, this is the way we do it in this building, and if you don't do it this way, you're going to have to get out of here." And we're going to find someone who does. It seems like there's a lot of accountability. Am I kind of right on how this defense operates?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think obviously, there's playmakers all over the place, and but that's not the foundation of what we do. The foundation is really just that swarm mentality, and I think we embody that all the way through and through, from the front end to the back end, and we're all just trying to do our job, and then once we see the ball, go get the ball. So
it seems like if you in life, if you have that swarm mentality, you have it. It's not something you can teach. How long does it take you to find out if a kid has swarm? Like, it looked like Kalen and Kamari had it real quick. Mm-hmm. How long does it take you to figure out if someone can play defense here on this team?
I feel like it just depends. I've seen it all. This is my 6th year in the league, and 5 of the 6 years has been the same scheme, the same mentality. And I think you can see it pretty fast if somebody's got it. And then I've also seen it where it's he doesn't know the standard, he doesn't know the way, and then you can see him learn the way. So you can see it grow on certain people, but no question, those 2 rooks right out the gate. That's what they were about. So it was awesome.
So how do you try to give that to somebody? Like coaches always say, I'd rather try to pull you back versus try to light a fire under your ass, because you either got it or don't.
Yeah.
So how do you teach someone to play this style?
I think the first thing is you got to know what you're doing. Because playing fast is about first just knowing your keys. What are you looking at? What are you reading? Because sometimes you could be playing fast, but you're playing out of control because you're just all over the place. So I know a lot of times when you're first learning a scheme, you might not be playing as fast. So that could be the initial, he's slowing, not because he doesn't want to go hard, but he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. So the first thing is just making sure that you know your job and your keys and what you're supposed to be reading and looking at. And then it's also just seeing the guys around you. I'm a part of the standard. Will Anderson, all those guys that were leaders on this team and on this defense, you're a part of that standard. You got to show that. Jalen Petrie, Jimmy Ward, they show it, and that's where you're man, if you're not doing it, everybody on the defense is playing a certain way, and if you're not doing it, you're going to stick out. And that's, in practice and training camp. So it's you see yourself on tape, and you don't look like the other 10 guys out there, and then, you kind of I got to get with the program, or I am going to get left behind.
You kind of gave me PTSD there, because my coaches always used to be you're too dumb to think. So stop thinking when you're out there. How long does it take you to get to that point in this defense of, all right, I'm not thinking, I know exactly where I need to be, therefore I can play hair on fire and do it responsibly?
I think that's just a part of being a pro. Everybody learns and grows different. But Coach makes it real simple for us on what we're supposed to be looking at, what your key is in each defense that we run and each play that we call. So I think it's more so just about honing in on those details and fine-tuning it to where it becomes muscle memory, and I think that's kind of where I'm at now, 6 years in, where a lot of the stuff is muscle memory. But, I go back to my first year in the league, and it was weeks where you're oh, this looks like something, but then I'm looking at that. That's you're just all over the place. So, it takes time for sure, but I think you look at, again, talking about our rookies, man, they've done a great job just dang, it looks like they almost got it right away. So
with that, are you shocked at how quick teams give up on quarterbacks, let alone maybe another position? Because I mean, you're drinking by a fire hose as a rookie, and CJ made it look real easy last year, which is so unfair to so many guys. And now Jaden's doing the same thing. Like, how long does it take for a kid to come in the NFL and like figure this thing out? Because no one comes in like ready to be a Hall of Famer. Like, it takes years to get there.
100%, and I'll say like it is tough, and depending on the position you're in, it could be easier or harder. You know, somebody like me coming into the league, an undrafted rookie, you got to figure things out a lot faster, but at the same time, the expectation is so low. So if you have, I had this high expectation for myself, but nobody around me thought I was going to be that great of a player necessarily. So it's like, if you want to stick around and be who you say you want to be, you got to show it right now because your lease is shorter. Whereas somebody, your first-round quarterback or something like that, the pressure is on you because all the cameras and the eyes are on you to succeed. But your leash is longer because they do understand, like, this is our franchise quarterback right now, so we need to give him time to develop and things like that. But I think you do see a lot more now in the last couple of years, just that leash being kind of short, especially for the quarterback position, just kind of like turning the page on guys like once a year. Yeah, it's crazy.
And CJ's done that. And D'Amico's done that because now owners see like, oh, D'Amico can turn a team around. Like CJ can turn a team around. Like, why haven't you?
It's his fault.
Yeah, what's your deal? Your story, CJ was talking about it today. Like, I don't know a lot of people that know it. That you lost everything in a house fire when you were younger. You were homeless at one point. Your college coach was terrified that he was going to lose you as a recruit. I think the story goes because you couldn't reply via text. Mm-hmm. How much of all of that you went through as a kid, it comes out on the field on Sundays?
Man, that's a lot of it. Just the passion, the pain, the energy, everything that I play with. It's just from a lot of the things I experienced and went through. And I think for a lot of us as players, that's how it is. But for me, like, my emotions are like on my sleeve, whatever I'm playing, because I'm passionate about what I do because this game changed my life. This game is a huge reason is why I'm the man that I am today and the position that I'm in today. So I owe everything to it. And it's like I don't know any other way but to play as hard as I possibly can because that's what's got me this far. It's kind of like been the equalizer for me is, when I was going through the things I was going through, whether it was being homeless or, not having ththings. I think a lot of times you get judged for everything, whether it's your skin color, whether it's your faith, whether it's the clothes you're wearing, the way you talk, like, just us as human beings, that's what we do to each other. And the thing about football that I always love is it's like the one equalizer where whether I'm wearing nice cleats or ugly cleats, if I hit you in the mouth, I hit you in the mouth. Like, you got to respect what you see and what you do, not necessarily judging somebody, prematurely on anything else other than what product they put on tape.
I mean, that's the NFL, like the ultimate meritocracy. Whatever you put on tape, whether you're the two white kids in Philadelphia right now playing quarterback,
yes,
for all of us out there representing or anybody else, it's like, by the way, we're athletes too. I mean,
100%.
It's like when you see the white kid out there and you're like, when you were saying if you're drafted late, like you have a shorter leash, but at the same time, if you do something nice, you're like, oh, the coach is like, take quicker notice. So it's like blessing and curse.
100%. Like I said, I think that that was like the even playing field, just, what I saw in my life when I first started to get into football. It was the one place where I was like, oh, like, they're saying good job because I'm doing a good job. They're noticing me for all these things. Like, they're not worried about, oh, man, you smell a little funny. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're playing football. So it's just like everything was just about what you put on tape. And I just love that about the game.
All right, bro. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Thanks, man. All right, I hope you all really enjoyed that conversation. As you can tell, Aziz is a whole lot more than what you get from short sound bites or perceived like character flaws on social media by somebody that's never met him, never listened to an interview, and to just judge him by 2 or 3 hits throughout his career is insane. He's a pretty dang good dude, and so I hope you guys like that conversation. Let's get into this divisional matchup with the Chiefs and Texans. Obviously, if the Texans win, this will be their first time ever to the AFC Championship game. They've been to the division round 6 times. They've lost every single time. In 2020, they lost to the Chiefs when they were up, I think it was 24-0 in the second quarter, and then Patrick Mahomes and the boys did their thing. They lost 51-31, I think was the final. And then last year, under this new regime, D'Amico Ryans and C.J. Stroud, they go to Baltimore. They're tied at halftime, 10-10. And then the second half, it was all Baltimore. That's kind of where we saw where the Texans were. We knew that they were in, the tier 1, if you will, but not 1A. We knew that it was the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs, maybe the Eagles at that point we probably thought, which they probably are at this point as well. And then the Texans were right below them. The Texans had some things to figure out. They made a whole bunch of adjustments in the offseason. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the adjustments were made to the offensive side of the ball to make that really exciting and fun around CJ, and it didn't really turn into that at all. The guys have mentioned this. They fell short of their standard offensively all year long. Now, they went into that Chargers game, and for 5 drives, they were dog fertilizer, like really bad. I mean, 5 drives, they had 54 yards and 0 points. And then that play happens where CJ fumbles the snap, but the snap catches him off guard. He breaks free. He finds Xavier Hutchinson down the field, and everything kind of opens up, and you kind of feel like a sigh of relief from that offense. And I talked to CJ afterwards, and I said to him, it looked like you were having a lot more fun, and you were just kind of reacting and playing football versus, all right, here are my keys. Here's what I got to do. I got to be real stringent. I got to go through my reads. It seemed like more backyard football. It wasn't really backyard football from then on out. It's a bad way of putting it, but I say that from a standpoint of he was just having much more fun in reading and reacting versus trying to think through all of it. And that it kind of went for the whole offense, and it's kind of crazy how much that play impacted that game. So the first 5 drives, 54 yards, 0 points. The final 2 drives of the first half, they had 144 yards and 10 points. That's how bad they were for 5 drives, and then that play changed everything. As for this game against the Chiefs, I've said it all year long, and I believe it again. I like this matchup for the Texans, and every time that defense goes out on the field, they have a puncher's chance. It's up to the defense, based on what we've seen from the offense through 18 weeks, outside of some blips against New England and against the Chargers and some other games here and there. It's up for the defense to set the offense up, maybe with short fields, steal an extra possession, whatever they have to do. And now the Chiefs are not world beaters this year. They've been winning a whole bunch of one-possession games, and to really bad teams, not the teams like the Texans. Last time the Texans were there, they had a chance to win that game. They were not able to, unfortunately, get the job done. That was the game where Tank got hurt and ended his season. So, unfortunately, they didn't win that game, but they have a chance this week. What else do I like? Here's something to watch. Special teams. Because everybody overall has a good offense, has a good defense, and they're going to play their keys and they're going to do their jobs on both sides of the ball. Special teams. That was huge against the Chargers because the Chargers went down, stole a whole bunch of momentum, quieted NRG after that touchdown play, and then all of a sudden Danico Autry blocks the extra point and the Texans return it all the way. Like, those plays are humongous. Now, of course, the one punt that they blocked, it proceeded to roll 35 yards, which kind of sucks for the Texans. But this is a big moment for this team. And here's Frank Ross talking about how important special teams are this week.
Look at the percentages of any time there's a takeaway in a football game from the special teams phase. Why? Is because most of the time these teams are very efficient offensively, defensively, and that hidden yardage it means more against better teams. So you're talking about field position. Well, if you're able to take a return to their half of the 50, for example, like, it's hard to get down there as an offense against a good defense and vice versa. So everything's magnified.
Now, I also think this week, a lot like last week against the Chargers, it's so much about the Texans. If the Texans stay out of their way, no unforced penalties, nothing stupid like that, because the offense hasn't really been good enough to prolong drives when they get behind the chains. So you want, short yardage on third down. You got to be economical on first and second, and I think third downs are going to be a huge asset in this game as well. So if the Texans can put drives together without getting in trouble with the penalty and convert on third down, then I like their chances of winning this game. And obviously, defensively, I think that they have to force 2 turnovers this week. Their average this season is 1.8. Take care of the ball as they have most of the season on the offensive side of the ball, and then you got to go out and force turnovers, 2 of them this week against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. That's something they did not do when they played them last time. They didn't force turnovers, and yet they were still in the game. Because the Chiefs aren't world beaters. Like, they can be got. And this is the time for the Texans to get to the AFC Championship game. We were talking to D'Amico this week, and he was talking about the fact that this is the time you really lean into who you are. You don't really try to reinvent the wheel because you put all these systems in place. You put everything in place for a reason. For when it matters most, your guys know what to do. They know when to do it. They know how and why to do it as well. So your brain is already programmed. So I say that because you got a lot of young kids in this situation for the first time. I don't think it's going to be too big for Kamari Lassiter and Kalen Bullock. We've seen that these dudes are awesome. There's some stats here I want to read you about how good, including Derek Stingley, not young, but how good those guys have been. So Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley Jr. allowed the lowest and second lowest completion percentages among defenders with at least 50 targets faced this season, including the playoffs, respectively. So Kamari Lassiter was at 43.7%. Derek Stingley was at 47.5%. The fact that Nick Caserio was able to hit on those dudes, those are pillars to your defense. Look at this defense going forward just for a little bit. Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson on the edges. You're probably going to add and move some pieces around on the interior defensive line, as I think they only have one guy under contract for next season. And then the next level, you have Henry To'oto'o and Azeez Al-Shaair. We'll get to Christian Harris in a little bit. Huge that he plays more than 7 snaps, which is what I think he played against L.A. He is the key against, let's just do it now. He's the key against Travis Kelce. His ability to run east to west, sideline to sideline, better than Henry and Aziz, is so important against this team. Or if they want to put a spy on Patrick Mahomes via Christian Harris. I don't think you really put a spy on him because he doesn't run that much, but when he does, it's always impactful. It's not like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen in the other game, which, holy crap, that game is going to be fun. But Christian Harris is so big for this defense this game. But going forward, back to what I was talking about. The secondary, you have Derek Stingley, Kamari Lassiter, and Kalen Bullock locked up, and Jalen Petrie is going to come back healthy. Jimmy Ward's probably in the last season of his career if he can come back healthy, if he does play again. I mean, you're set up for success on the defensive side of the ball. And Cecil Shorts and I talked about this last week here on the show, Kicking It with Kunkel. They need to make some changes offensively. The offensive line, I think they bring in a whole lot of competition, and they're going to say, y'all figure it out, and you tell us who the best 5 are. We're not making our selections. You make it very clear. And then I also think they bring in somebody alongside Bobby Slowick, who has called plays in the league maybe for like 20 years or so, and knows what to do in the second half, knows how to adapt when what you thought your identity was going to be, passing the ball over the yard, is no longer your identity because the offensive line can't protect, wide receivers get hurt. Joe Mixon may be better than you even thought. That is now your identity. It is to bully with Joe Mixon, use his mentality to punish defenders. So that's just another little thought there. I was so impressed with the defense against the Chargers because I don't know what we expected. I know no one gave them a damn chance, but they obviously showed that they were the better team, and D'Amico was the better coach. They were well prepared, and I expect the same against Andy Reid and the Chiefs. I think the Texans win this game if. I always do the caveat because I don't know what we're going to get from the offense. It is impossible for me to sit here and say, listen, we know that C.J. Stroud and those boys are going to put up 25. Now the defense, just hold them below that. I don't know that the offense is going to do that. If the defense can force a couple turnovers, then the offense needs to put up, I said last week 20 points. Cecil Short said 24 points. I think they need to put up 27 points. They score 27 points in this game, then they win. Because this defense is on a mission, and this is their time. This is their time to show the country and show the world what they're about, and that's the identity of this football team is the defense, and the offense rides those coattails. Now, if the offense is able to get off the coattails and create their own wave and create their own wake behind them, then forget about it. All bets are off when they see the winner of the Ravens-Bills. If that happens, which, by the way, I think you rather face the Bills because we've seen what the Ravens can do, and you made Josh Allen look really average at best. He looked average when you played him. Lamar Jackson was a dang world beater when he played you. Now, let's talk about the Rockets. I had some people, my buddy Landry Locker got on me because I said Jalen Green's becoming an alpha male in this league. And listen, dude, I don't know. Maybe he's not an alpha male at this point. Fine. You've got to do it in the playoffs. I don't disagree with that. But can we look at what he's done this season? He's averaging just over 21 points a game, but he also got off to a really slow start. But in back-to-back games against Memphis, who was right on their heels in the standings in the West, where the Rockets are now number 2 to just the Thunder, who are unbelievable. Jalen Green has had 42 points and 27 points against the Grizzlies. And then the last game, as I sit here, against the Nuggets, no Jokic. I understand that, but it doesn't really impact Green that much. He had 34 points. And then I was going to say the Bullets. Anyone that old watching this? The Wizards, he had 29 points. Lakers, 33 points. Boston, 27 points. And Dallas, 22 points. So, Jalen Green is coming into his own. And when this team plays defense, they're in every game, which is why they've been blown out maybe 3 times this season, 2 against the Thunder, 1 against the Celtics. So if their shots aren't falling, they can still play defense. Defense travels. That puts them in every game. Win or lose, they're going to have a chance because they're so damn good defensively. And now they need that guy to go out and score who can create their own bucket. Jalen Green is that dude right now. At least he has been for this year, this 2025 calendar year, he's been that guy. You know, he had some clunkers in there as well. He had 6 points against the Hornets. He also had 9 points against the Thunder in a big game, 12 points against the Warriors. So just to be fair, he had 9 points against the Timberwolves, 8 against the Clippers, 7 against the Warriors in another big game. But that was early on. Jalen had some things to figure out. It seems like he's starting to figure some things out. He's playing downhill more. He's shooting the ball in an unbelievable clip this year from deep, which has been a huge addition. And shout out to Ben Sullivan and Amen Thompson working on their game as well. Amen's jump shot has looked so much better. So let's go month by month for Jalen shooting the 3 ball. First month of the season in October, he shot 40% from 3, then 27% from 3 during the NBA Cup and through November and December. Didn't shoot the ball very well at all. And then in January, is this the way I'm right? In January, he shot at 47%. 47% from deep. December, 32%, November, 27%. So every month he's gotten better, and that's exactly what you want from a dude. The losses that they do have on the season that are ugly, 2 are against the Thunder, 1 are against the Celtics. That's not something to really worry about right now. That's something to face, hopefully, in the playoffs. So if you see the Thunder in the playoffs, assuming you have a good seed, that'll be in the Western Conference Finals. If you see the Celtics, obviously it'll be the NBA Finals. So a good problem to have, a problem nonetheless right now that you're probably not on their tier, kind of like the Texans. Like you have your upper tier teams and the Texans right below them, as I was talking about earlier. Now let's talk about the Cougars. I don't want to run out of time here because I want to give them some credit as well. Kelvin Sampson doing it again. I don't think this is a surprise. The defense is the best in the country. They're on a 9-game win streak. They allowed more than 60 points to West Virginia in their last game. But prior to that, during their 8-game win streak, they had held every single team under 60 points. That includes, I believe, TCU, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, I know. Some good teams. And to hold any team, a Division I basketball team, under 60 points at this rate is impressive. So once again, the Cougs looking really damn good. And they were ranked number 10 this week. They're going to be ranked higher. Kansas is going to fall out of the top 10. They should never have been in the top 10. They got beat by West Virginia. Houston beat them by 16, which, by the way, how good is Vegas? They were a 16.5-point favorite against West Virginia, and they won by 16. I was not a victim in that, but I know some friends that were. And shout out to the city of Houston right now. 3 of the best defensive teams in the country are here in Houston. The Texans in the NFL, the Rockets in the NBA with top 3 defense, and then the Cougars. Pretty dang awesome. Quinn Ewers going to the NFL. Shocked he didn't take what was reported about $8 million to go somewhere in the NCAA. I don't know where it was. Maybe Notre Dame. I can't remember where Carson Beck went, but Carson Beck went to a team. So maybe it was Miami. Yeah, Miami, I think. So he wouldn't have gone there, but maybe he could have gone to Florida. Wherever. Quinn's gonna go try his hand at the NFL. I love it for him. Go get your money. Go do your thing, big dog. A kid just wasn't good enough for this Texas team. Texas was too good of a team, and he limited them, unfortunately, offensively. I know he wasn't healthy. I know he wasn't 100%, but the talent around him was better than he was. A quarterback's supposed to elevate the talent around you. Quinn Ewers was not able to elevate the talent around him because they were just better than him. All right, and very quickly, I like the hire of Deion Sanders to the Cowboys. I don't know that he's the best coach for the team, but you got to have somebody with that moxie, that chutzpah, that star power that has to deal with Jerry Jones, the owner and general manager. The fact that your owner and general manager is such an asset financially, but such a burden with what he brings that team or doesn't do well as a general manager is a crazy concept. All right, I'm running out of time. I'm going to leave it with y'all. You guys have a great week. Hopefully we come back and do this again as the Texans beat the Chiefs, and then we'll face the winner of the Ravens-Bills. Peace, y'all.